सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यविदौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्ते नमः। ऋकारस्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीभगवानुवाच यं सन्न्यासमिति प्राहुः योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव न ह्यसन्न्यस्तसङ्कल्पः योगी भवति कश्चन। We were seeing what is an yoga, or which sannyasi is called a yogi. So he is addressing here Pandaputra, that which is called sannyasa by the learned people, that is also karma yoga only. Okay. Sannyasa means renunciation. So if you look at sannyasis, we said there are two types of sannyasis, Vividisha sannyasi and Vidvat sannyasi. So here he is comparing a Vividisha sannyasi with karma yogi. Because for the Vidvat sannyasi, you cannot even compare with karma yogi. So in the case of Vidvat sannyasi, the person already knows that he or she is the whole. So when you are the whole, the individuality is already falsified. That means you don't have any avidya. So avidya, kama, karma, that is the sequence of how things happen. So when you don't know that you are the whole, then you see yourself as the limited wanting person. So when you are seeing yourself as a limited wanting person, then kama comes. Because you want to become unlimited, that's your pursuit. We have already seen. If you are a limited person, that is inherently unacceptable to you. Because by nature, you are a complete whole. But since you are not owning it up, your mind is always wanting to become that. It's like when there was one question asked in Yaksha Prashna, what is the greatest wonder? The answer that was told is, despite seeing lot of people dying around you, so humans think that they are always going to be alive. Nobody takes that you are going to be, die one day. The reason is because inherently you don't actually, the time is, like Jayashankarji was saying, Deshakala is dependent on your Swarupa. See, when you say time, what is time? See, the time is only a span. The span is actually superimposed. See, what actually exists is only the present. That is the only reality. So when the past happened, it happened as the present. When future is going to happen, that will happen also as a present. So what is the reality is only present. But then you are superimposing your memory and expectations onto the present, and then you are superimposing something called a stretch of time. Okay. So the time depends on what here? It depends on you, because you give the reality to time, because a conscious entity, otherwise when you are asleep, there is no time. In dream, the time span is very different. Within few seconds, you dream many hours, many lives also actually. So that means the span of time. Swamiji gives an example, right? When you are waiting for somebody who you want to meet, okay, the time doesn't go at all, okay. And he gives an example, if you are standing on a hot plate, even a 20 second looks like 20 days. Right? Whereas if you are talking to somebody who you like, the time just flies like that. Right? So the span of time is also notional only, right? Of the experience. So the time depends on the experiencer. Otherwise there is no time. Space also is dependent on the experiencer. Unless you recognize the space, there is no space. Even objects, for example, the existence of mic is not established unless you witness the mic. See, there has to be a conscious entity to recognize an unconscious the inert object, for it to see when I have to say that remote exists, the remote has to be perceived by a conscious entity for it to be established. Otherwise, see, there is one example, no? When a tree falls in a place where there is nobody to listen, was there a sound or not? See, sound means an ear has to hear it, otherwise there is no sound. Okay, only when it is heard, it is a sound. Otherwise, it is not a sound. So, whether it is Desha or Kala or Vastu, they are dependent on your Swarupa for their existence. Okay, without a conscious entity perceiving them, there is no Desha Kala. So, Desha Kala Vastu, Vastu means their objects, get their existence from consciousness only. Okay, in fact, in every cognition, every part of the cognition is pervaded by the consciousness. See, when I say I am seeing this remote, okay, the sight is pervaded by my consciousness. The touch is pervaded by my consciousness. Even the perception of space is through my consciousness only. Right? When I taste it, the taste is pervaded by my consciousness. So every part of it, every part of every experience, at no point is away from the consciousness. So can you say any experience is away from my consciousness? It is impossible to say, right? Every experience, every part of it is pervaded by the consciousness. That is called Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Every cognition, Bodham Prati, okay, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Okay. So every Bodham you are existing, the Swarupa is existing. Okay. So here now coming to this time and space. So where were we? Again, see, this is the problem. I lose the thread. So I am talking about sannyasi, right? Tyaga is dependent. So the avidya kama karma. So that when I am complete, okay, then there is no kama. There is no expectation for me to become complete. So therefore a jnani cannot be compared with karma yogi because he is not consciously giving up sankalpa, whereas he has already lost his doership itself. Okay, there is no bhoktrutvam, there is no kartrutvam, there is no enjoyership. See, why do we do an action? We do an action because I want to enjoy the fruits. Okay, suppose I go and buy a car, I want to enjoy the benefit of having a car. So it is for the enjoyer that the doer is doing an action. Okay, every action I do is for my enjoyership. And why do I want to enjoy? Because I feel I am unhappy, right, without it. Now, the notion that is because of avidya. That's why the sequence told by Shastra is avidya leads to kama and kama leads to karma. Okay, so the self-ignorance is the reason for me to for the want of being an enjoyer. Right? And the enjoyer is the cause of the doer. Okay. Now, if my ignorance itself is gone, that means this person is a jnani, so there is no enjoyership. He doesn't need to enjoy, he is always Atma Rama. Then what happens? Then there is no doership also. He is not going to do anything for the want of enjoyership. He may still act, he may do Shankara Bhashya, right? Or he may take classes or he may whatever. But that is not for the person to enjoy. It's only for the sake of action, he does action. So now therefore you cannot compare a jnani with karma yogi. The karma yogi is giving up fruits of action by sankalpa. He says, I will not work for the benefits, karma phala. I am giving up the karma phala to Ishvara. Whatever Ishvara gives, I will take. So that is a sankalpa. Okay. So karma yogi gives up through sankalpa, and Vividisha sannyasi also gives up only by sankalpa because he is still not a jnani. So in fact Shankaracharya here says what kind of karma he gives up is not like a grihastha karma, right? Some dhanam, yagam is not, he says some dhanam and dhyanam and some of those things he adds, which the smarta karma that typically sannyasis do, he says he gives the sankalpa for it also, is how he defines. So the comparison here is between Vividisha sannyasi and the karma yogi. Okay, so and then he says, Yam sannyasam prahu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpaha yogi bhavati kaschana. When you haven't given up the sankalpa, the desire, then you are neither your karma yogi nor you are a sannyasi. Okay. So, but if you have given up the sankalpa, then the same person is both the sannyasi as well as the yogi. Okay. That is the definition here. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Okay. Then the next one is the very important definition between this jnana yoga and karma yoga. Okay, let's read it and then I will introduce it. Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate yoga rudasya tasyaiva shamak karanam uchyate. Okay, here Bhagavan actually differentiates the one who is prepared for Dhyana yoga and who is still a karma yogi, like we saw in the earlier session. Okay. So Arukshoho Munehe. So let's do the Anvaya first. Yogam Arukshoho Munehe Karma Karanam Uchyate. Yogarudasya tasya eva shamaha karanam uchyate. Yogam here is Dhyana yoga. Okay. For whom is Dhyana yoga prescribed? And like we have already seen, Dhyana yoga is not just doing 2 hours of Dhyanam every day, morning and evening. So here we are talking about a person gives up the karma that is enjoined for the person. Okay. So literally it is a sannyasi level only. That means the person, whatever Vaidikam karma which has been prescribed for the person, he gives up and goes on to doing meditation all the time. Okay. So that kind of so who can take that kind of a lifestyle? That is the question. That's why he has to differentiate and say only such and such person can get on to this. Okay. So here he says yogam, the contemplative dhyana yoga, arurukshoho munehe. Okay. Arurukshu, the person who has a desire of becoming a jnani. Okay. But is not ready for it yet. He only has a desire. For that person, karma karanam here means sadhana. Okay. The karma yoga is prescribed as the means. Okay, karma karanam uchyate. By the Shastras and Jnanis, it is prescribed that for a person who wants to become a Dhyana yoga person, okay, for that person karma yoga is prescribed. Means only once you have done karma yoga and has gained certain qualification, you can start doing this Dhyana yoga. Yoga arudasya, the person who has already gained that composure. Okay. Tasyaiva, this is very important, this tasyaiva, for the same person. Okay, shamaha, which is prashamanam, renunciation, is said to be the means. Okay. And Shankaracharya makes a very interesting point here. So why can't you say for certain set of people dhyanam is given, for certain set of people karma yoga? This is the Vivekananda thing, right? For one who is emotional, that person can do bhakti yoga. the person for whom intellect is the main thing, intellectual, that person can attain through Jnana Yoga. And then the person who is action oriented, that person will do through Karma Yoga. And then the person who can do asana and all, that person will attain to. That's how we divide it. Okay. Like we have already seen, there is only Jnana Neva Kaivalya, right? Now the other three are all Karma Yoga only. Okay, whether you call it as Bhakti Yoga or whatever. So here the question that Shankaracharya raises is, why can't you say that for some people it is Karma Yoga and for some people it is Dhyana Yoga? And he answers saying, Bhagavan has used the word tasyaiva for the same person who is Aruksha Mune. For the same person, once he becomes Arudaha, then Dhyana Yoga is prescribed. That means both are meant for the same person, is what is the argument. So now that whatever Vivekananda says is almost dismissed by this statement, right? So there is a continuity. The same person, to qualify, we have said, you can't get your Ragadvesha away without doing Karma Yoga. See, only when you are in the field of action, right? That's why in wedding, we have all the Saptavati and all that, right? You take a vow. The whole thing is you are seeking a partner so that you can grow and the partner can also grow. Okay, that is the idea. Because only when there are complex situations, it gives you an opportunity to grow. Okay, that's how I was saying the other day, yesterday, that the entire culture, our Sanatana, somebody, you were saying Sanatana, right? So the Sanatana Dharma, the whole culture is attuned towards jnana only. Okay, everything. A person, even so even this Upavidam and all that, right? Those days even women had. Okay, Swamiji used to say, look at any sculpture of those days. All the lady devatas also will have Upavida. That means in those days women also had. Later on, what they have done, they added it to the men. At the time of marriage, on their behalf, they give it to men, right? So whether it is women or men or any varna or anything, the whole pursuit is towards moksha only. So you go to excursion, you go to Badrinath. You take bath, that is also is a Vaidika karma. You eat food, that is a Vaidika karma. Okay. So everything from getting up to sleep, the active wedding is a Vaidika karma. The samskaras, right? Giving birth to children is a Vaidika karma, right? And then your Ashtalakshmi, Dhanam is a Lakshmi, Dhanyam is a Lakshmi, Dhairyam is a Lakshmi, Veeram is a Lakshmi. Everything is Lakshmi. And knowledge is Saraswati, right? So anything in and around you is seen as Bhagavan only. Okay. In fact, this Ayudha Puja we do. Then Grahas are also Bhagavan. Okay. Our own body also, when we do puja, we say Deho Devalaya. Okay. So this body, Soham Bhavena Puja, this body itself, Ishvara, is how we look at it. Now therefore, where was I? Okay, so this whole Tasyaiva Shamak Karanam Uchyate, so that's for the same person, so there is a continuity. Okay, the whole thing is progress that way. So Yogam Arurukshoho Munehe Karma Karanam Uchyate Yoga Arudasya Tasyaiva Shamaha. Shamaha here is Prashamanam. Okay, Bhashikara uses Upashamaha. Sarva Karmabhyaha Nivrittihi. Okay, so for the same person, withdrawing from all activities. So only the person who is ready for it, you can withdraw. Because he is going to now give a very detailed description of how the person needs to meditate and all that. And then he is going to say, sit in some cave, all the time sitting straight and like a flame that doesn't move. So keep your focus on the Atmastu and all that. So this is only for sannyasi. See, there are two types of dhyanam that is spoken about. Okay. One is Saguna Brahma Vishaya Vyapara Dhyana. Okay. So this vritti, so I forgot the phrase. Okay, anyway, when I remember I will tell. So, Vijatiya Vritti Pravaha Rahita Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha Rupa Saguna Saguna Brahma Vishaya Vyaparaha Dhyana. This is the definition. Vijatiya Vritti. Vijatiya means, see, Jati means a category. Okay. So, Vritti means continuity of thought. Okay, that's a Vritti. We have already seen Chitta Vritti and all that. Chitta Yogaha, Chitta Vritti Nirodha is the Yoga Sutra, right? So, the Vritti is an action which is happening in the mind. Now, Sajatiya Vritti means you continuously think about the same thing. Okay, that is the Sajatiya Vritti. Vijatiya means the other category of things. Okay, that is the Vijati. So, that Vijatiya Vritti should not be there. Okay, Vijatiya Vritti Rahita, Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha, Saguna Brahma Vishaya Vyaparaha Dhyana. Saguna Brahma is your Bhagavan. Okay, so or Omkara or whatever. So, generally in our meditation, if you see the morning meditation classes, right, we will say you focus on some Om symbol, sound, or some mantra, or you are doing a puja of your Ishtadevata, deity, whatever, right? So, each one is a guna. Guna means an attribute. Sound is an attribute. Okay, mantra means it's an attribute, right? And Bhagavan, when you say, you are giving a form. Okay, Krishna means flute and all that. So, it's all guna. So, Saguna Brahma, or if we can recognize Ishvara as Sarvavyapi, that is also fine. But there also it is guna only, right? In the form of totality. So, this Saguna Brahma Vritti Vyapara is what is Dhyana. But then people will say, when I am doing meditation, other thoughts come. Then what do we do? So, Bhagavan says, Yato yato nischarati tatastato niyamya. So, bring it back. That is Dhyana, bringing it back. See, if there is no thought, other thought at all, that means you are already in Samadhi. Okay, then you can't call it as Dhyana. So, if you are doing Dhyana, that means you are not in Samadhi. So, other thoughts can also come. But you need to bring it back. Okay, that is your one type of what we call as Dhyana. The other is what is called Nididhyasanam. Okay. In the case of Nididhyasanam, there is no Saguna. Okay. But you can't do a Dhyana on Nirguna also. Because only what is Guna you can meditate, right? So, Nirguna, what will you meditate? So Nididhyasanam is you take the Vedanta Vakya which talks about your Swarupa, Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma, or Aham Nityaha, Aham Nitya Shuddhaha. Like that you take something and continuously be focused on that aspect of your nature. That is Nididhyasanam. So generally this Dhyanam that he is talking about here is primarily the Nididhyasanam only. Because there are two places where Bhagavan is talking about this whole thing. One is after your 11th chapter where he has already spoken about Vishwarupa and all that. Okay. There Ishvara Swarupa is presented. And there the Dhyanam is focused on Ishvara. So here he has given Sannyasa Lakshana in the previous chapters and now he is talking about it. So here it is about Nididhyasanam only. It is Atma Vastu that you need to focus on. That is why he is talking about Yoga Rudaha. Already a person has done Karma Yoga, the person is ready to give up action, that means he is ready for concentrating, bringing Nishtha on the Swarupa. Okay.
So just to clarify, this is...
clarification in the evening. Okay, Etadrisham, okay, now I want to read the Bhashya. Ata idanim kada yoga marudaha bhavati. So when does one become yoga marudaha is the question. Okay, that is the next verse. Yada hinendriyarteshu na karmasvanusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudastadochyate yada hi na indriyarteshu karmasu na anushajjate tada sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudaha uchyate. Okay. When can one be classified as yogarudaha is the question. So when is one ready for becoming a Dhyana Yoga person? Okay, so he says, tada yoga rudaha uchyate. Okay, so then the person can be called yoga rudaha. When, then yada, when na indriyarteshu na karmasu anushajyate. Anushanga means attachment. Okay, when the person is not attached to indriyartha. Indriyartha means sense objects. Entire world is indriyartha only, but where you have a want on. Okay. Na karmasu, and not also with reference to certain action. If you are already having so clinging to actions, right? I want to do this karma all the time. Even that is also an attachment. So not only the benefits of action, but even your attachment towards the action, if they are gone away. Why they should have gone? Because otherwise when you are sitting in meditation, they will come to disturb you. Okay. In fact, Bhagavan says, the person in I think 3rd chapter or something, Mityacharaha, the one who has given up the action, but all the time thinking about it in mind, sitting in one place, that person is called Mityachara. He is a false action. Okay. Neither he is a sannyasi, nor he is the grihastha. At least you be a grihastha and do a dharmic thing, you will be growing. Instead, what people do, suddenly they will get angry with wife and family and take sannyasa. Okay. But then they are not able to have sannyasa life. Okay, that's why he says, dukkam aptum ayogataha. Bhagavan says sannyasa life is not easy because you sitting here, you don't have a field of action. At least so far you had, if you had anger, you had somebody to shout at, right? But you are a sannyasi, what will you do? Right? All the time you are just shouting within yourself. Right? It creates complex. You become more and more. So, video is on. Swamiji used to say, have you ever seen any Christian nun happy or smiling? They can't, because they have this concept of Satan and God. Okay. Whenever you have a bad quality, that means Satan is inside you working on it, right? And only wherever there is good thing, that is because of God. Now Swamiji used to say, you look at yourself, almost 90% you will have only Satan, every human being, right? So that leads to guilt. Okay, so you are so helpless and you look at yourself as having so much Satan in you. Okay, and especially if you have become, in certain religions you become more religious, it's a problem actually. The non-religious is better. In our thing, we generally say more religious means the person has become more sattvic and he will not do any harm. But in many religions, the person is more religious, you are afraid to go near them, right? See, that is why these are very important things, right? So it is better before you take sannyasa, you are ready for it. We have seen sannyasis getting married also nowadays, right? Everything we have seen in life. So in the last 20 years, whatever we never used to see, we have seen. That is because preparedness is the problem, right? And people also give sannyasa without, understanding how much can you understand a person, right? Only to a certain extent you can understand and give sannyasa. But it ends up into more problems, okay? That's why Bhagavan himself is clearly saying, until you are ready, don't take. Okay. But how do you find who is ready? He is giving the definition here. He says, Indriyarteshu karmasu anushangaha nasti. There is no attachment. He may still act, but he is not dependent on them. Okay, so the sense objects and the activity don't bind them. Tada sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudaha uchyate. The sankalpa is given up. Okay, I am doing, sankalpa means I am incomplete without it. Therefore I do. If that is sankalpa. But if you are doing because of anyacha prarabdha, or you are in a situation where you have to do. See, a person who has given up sankalpa also will be doing an action. A person with sankalpa also will be doing it. You won't know the difference, right? This fellow also takes his children to school, that fellow also takes the children to school. So you can't say what is the difference between them, but they know, right? So only you are the one who. That's why Bhagavan here later I said, no, Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu, Atmaiva Ripura Atmanaha. So you only have to lift yourself up. There is nobody else who can do it for you, right? You have to decide whether you are ready. So somebody can only guide you and say this means you are ready or not. But whether you are ready or not, you only can know to a large extent. Okay. Okay. Uddaredatmanatmanam
Uddaredatmanatmanam
Atmanamavasadayet
Natmanamavasadayet
Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu
Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu
Atmaiva ripuratmanaha
Atmaiva ripuratmanaha.
I was just reading the Bhashya. Bhashyakara actually talks some more on this one, the previous one, right? He says if the Sankalpa is given up, then a person cannot even walk. Okay, because you have to do Sankalpa that I will move. यदा एवं योगारूढ़ः तदा तेन आत्मा आत्मनः उद्धृतः भवति संसारात् अनर्थजातात् अतः. Very interesting introduction he gives. See, the beauty of Shankara Bhashya is the connection he gives between one verse and another verse. Otherwise it's very difficult to understand the connection. There is one story, right? Mahabharata story, many of you would have heard. So, Vyasa wanted to write this Mahabharata. He lakhs of shlokas, right? So he wanted a scribe, someone to write it. So he can't write also and compose also, right? But he felt his students are all not enough. He needed somebody who is very skillful. So then he prayed. Then Lord Ganesha he prayed to. He brought him. Okay. So he came. He said, he prayed to Ganesha saying that, why don't you be my scribe? Like Arjuna said, Krishna, ride my Ratha, right? So these people had so much gumption to ask Bhagwan to do scribing, right? So he tells Ganesha, why don't you write for me? Ganesha said, fine, I'll do. But the moment you stop, I wouldn't wait, okay? If you stop anywhere, I'll stop it and go. Okay, and then I won't continue. Vyasa said, okay, I won't stop, I will uninterruptedly tell. But then, you should also write it after understanding the meaning of verses. Okay. So Ganesha said, fine. So it is said, wherever Vyasa had a problem, he needed to think 10 more verses, he will put one spin, curveball. Okay. So then Ganesha takes time to understand what it means and then he continues. Right. That is said. The point is, every here and there, apparently Mahabharata has very complicated verses. And Bhagavad Gita also is like that. He just jumps from one topic to another and somebody has to link it. Okay, so Shankaracharya's Bhashya links. See, suddenly he says, Uddaret Atma Atma. Okay. Lift yourself by yourself. Now, how do you connect? So far he has said Yoga Ruda. So he says, so yada evam yoga rudaha tada tena. So by becoming yoga rudaha, you are actually helping lift yourself. That is how he is connecting. Okay, so when you are able to jump. Aruda means, technically Aruda means you are riding. Okay, so climbing a horse kind of thing, right? So when do you climb? Okay, that is what he described in the previous verse. Now so you only have to yourself climb. That's what he is here saying in this verse. Okay, nobody is going to help you climb the horse. Okay, so yada evam yoga rudaha tada tena atmana uddrita bhavati. So when you have become a aruda, when you have become a person qualified for doing dhyana yoga, that implies that you have lifted yourself from what? From this samsara, which is pointless. Okay, there is nothing. You are not going to get anything from the samsara. Okay, so this is anartha jatam. Shankaracharya generally calls samsara as anartha. There is nothing you will get out of it. It will only make you toil. Suddenly you find yourself in the deathbed, having wasted your entire life. So I used to tell this Ramakrishna's parable. Most of the camps I will say it is a good parable, right? So he says somebody went to a drama. or a theatre. And that fellow, when he went, he thought generally these movies and dramas, they won't start on time, right? Either they'll put ad, the cigarette ad and all that, will go on and on and on. In UK at all 20 minutes they'll put ad. Okay, so usually we'll go 15 minutes later for movies. Like that, this person expected this drama will start late, so let me take one mat with me so that I can lie down. Okay, in those days you sit on the floor only, right? So he went there. This is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's parable. So he takes the mat, he lies down, okay, and then he slept off. Then suddenly there was so much noise, he woke up, he saw the drama is already over. He says, that is how your life is. You are here for a purpose to become Mukta Purusha. So by the time you even recognize that you want moksha, life is almost already over. You are ready only for Apat Sannyasa, right? So you have to lift yourself at the right time. Okay. Yoga rudaha tada tena atmana uddritaha bhavati. So when you are, so the samsara is anartha. That's where I went into that discussion. So you don't get anything out of the samsara. Okay. You just keep running and running and running like that hurdle, right, in Olympics. Then somebody takes the baton and continues to run, or you fall off and then you are put in a stretcher and removed and others continue to run. That's how life is, right? So you ran for some time. So it's anartakaha. The whole samsara is, unless you come to this yoga rudaha state, it is of no use. You have wasted your life. Okay. So yoga. So he says yada evam yoga rudaha tada tena atmana uddrita bhavati. Then by that person you can say one is being saved by oneself. That is why this verse is, that's how he introduces this. Okay. Atmana Anvaya. Atmana atmanam uddhareti atmanam na avasadayet. He, why? Because atma eva atmanaha bandhu atma eva atmanaha ripuhu. So by oneself, atmana, atmanam uddharet. May one lift oneself. Okay. So you lift yourself is what it means. And atmanam na avasadayet. Don't let samsara destroy you. Okay. Why he? Because atma eva atmanaha bandhu atma eva atmanaha ripuhu. You are your own benefactor and you are your own enemy. This is where I said, no, in the earlier session, Swamiji also interprets the known Atma is your benefactor and ununderstood Atma is your destroyer, because your own mind kills you. Okay. So you are both beneficiary and the benefactor. Okay. Yoga rudaha. So that's why you bring yourself. Okay. So now the Swamiji goes to discuss why are you your own benefactor? Because you only have to do the Nitya Viveka. So somebody is not going to, you can go and tell people on the road that samsara is dukkha, all that. That doesn't mean they will understand. So only those who understand will understand. Right? That means you are the one who are a catalyst. So many people hear Vedanta. Not everybody comes, right? So you need to do the Viveka. You have to analyze and understand what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. Okay. And then you are the one who has to choose Vedanta also. See, we say there is a jump. First is you first become a mumukshu. I want moksha. That is, once you do Viveka, you figure out that, okay, there is no point in samsara. It is only going to take me for a ride, right? Then you become a person who is a mumukshu, the one who wants to gain moksha. Now then, how do I gain moksha? Right? Is moksha something to be achieved? So do I go to heaven? Okay. Do I go and play dandiya with Krishna? So there are many mokshas being presented to you. Now then there is a recognition that happens that jnanam only can give me moksha. That is when a mumukshu becomes a jignasu. The one, so the pursuit for liberation turns into a pursuit for knowledge. Okay. So then only the person comes to Vedanta. Okay, so that is a switch. Who makes that takes that call. It's only you, right? Nobody can take the call for you. You can listen, but then you only. So that is why at every stage, Uddaret Atma Atmanam is relevant. These are all Swamiji's interpretation, right? So you actually think about it. Even Bhashikara doesn't talk in that extent, but what Swamiji says is correct, right? At every stage, you only have to decide. Nobody can take that call, right? And then finally, Jnanam is Ishvara Anugraha. There is no choice, right? Whether you end up with the right Guru, and when the Guru actually teaches whether you have the right kind of mindset at that time, you are available for that knowledge, and even when you are available for the knowledge, whether the clarity will take place, is Ishvara Anugraha. Because the Pratibandha can be your own Punya Papa, your own state of your mind. Shastra gives two things, right? One is the Karma Yoga to remove the Punya, the Papa which is becoming a hurdle. Second is this Dhyana Yoga which we call as Chitta Naischalya. Two things we talk about. Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Naischalya. So there are the obstructions which is not describable by you. It is not a mental obstruction. There is something which is stopping you, which is in the form of raga dvesha. I am getting an allergy to be like this, whatever, right? That is due to your own punya papa. So that can go away only by karma yoga. So that is why what is called chitta shuddhi. Shuddhi means purification. Purification means don't again think, oh, I am impure like the Christian nun we said, right? That is not. So impurity is raga dvesha. Likes and dislikes is impurity. Because that is the one which distracts you. Okay. Then chitta naischalya. Chala means moving. Okay. Nischala means that which is not moving. Naischalya means the bhava of nischalatvam. Okay. The very essence of being the one who is undisturbed. And that naischalya is where this dhyanam and all helps. All this upasana is, it makes your mind stay calm and stay focused. Okay. So both are important. So karma yoga for chitta shuddhi and this upasana for chitta naischalya both qualifies you for the jnana. Okay, so these shastra gives, but despite it, when somebody doesn't get jnanam in this birth, means Ishvara Anugraha only. Some pratibandha is there, you keep working. One good thing is he promises in this chapter itself that, I think this chapter only. So Arjuna asks a question that somebody was given up. So this Jnana Yoga, Bhagavan is saying, give up your action, right? What if somebody gives up Vaidya karma, everything? The Laukika karma also he gives up. He is all the time meditating, but he doesn't become a jnani. Then it's a waste. No, at least he could have enjoyed his life, right? So why did you make him do all this? So he says, don't worry. Things if don't happen in one birth, it will happen at some point in time. So again one story. Okay. So there are two people who are, most of the stories I tell in all, it's okay. People who are new, for them, it gives some clarity, right? So even if there is a repetition. So two people are doing this Dhyana Yoga, okay, sitting under two trees, okay, one here, one there. And as usual, Narada comes, okay. Whenever somebody is doing tapas, immediately Devendra gets disturbed, okay, because anybody can become Indra, okay. So is this fellow doing this tapas so that he is after my chair, okay. So then he will send some disturbances, right? So he sends Narada, not for disturbing in this case. So Narada comes. So there is a huge tree, two trees, okay. He comes to this first fellow. He was saying, then this fellow recognizes this Narada, okay. He asks Narada, he prays and then says, can you tell me when will I get jnana, moksha? So Narada says, you see this tree, there are how many leaves? So whatever is the number of leaves, after so many births you will get moksha, okay. So this fellow says, it's a waste, let me go away. He walks away. So he goes to the next tree, this fellow is sitting, right? So he asks the same question, he tells the same answer. So that guy gets very happy. He says, so that means I will get, okay, if not this birth or next birth, sometime I am going to get. Because otherwise what option I have, right? I am going to toil around. So at least there is a chance, right? That you are confirming that I am going to get. So I am anyway happy doing this. So I will continue doing this, right? That's what he said. There is a story like that. Okay, so what I am trying to say is, so the problem, so when you go into this, you lose the thought. So, yoga.
Chitta Naischalya.
Chitta Naischalya. So, Ishvara Anugraha only, that's what I was saying. So, a person will get, so we were talking about Arjuna asking that question, and at some birth, next birth you will get. And he says you will be born in a very conducive, and see, here all Shraddha only, right? So, wherever there will be a good, and we see examples, right? People like Ramana Maharshi, at 5 years or 7 years he gained, he didn't come to Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, right? So, how did he gain? See, that he would have heard a little bit Shastra somewhere, but then he was so qualified that he gained it at no time, right? So, that means once you start, you will gain. Okay, that is the Shraddha. Okay. So, so you need to bring yourself, help yourself is what is said here. And why you are an enemy to yourself, we know that. Once you don't own up your Swarupa, which is you are the whole. That's why Shastra says Mahati Vinashti. If you don't own up your Swarupa, the loss is infinite. Because when you own it up, the gain is infinite. So that means if you are not owning up your infinite Swarupa, the loss is also infinite. Right? So therefore you become your own enemy because what you are not owning it. So that's why Atmaiva Atmano Bandhuhu, Atmaiva Ripuhu Atmanaha. Let's go to the next one. I know I'm rushing, but otherwise we can't finish it. Bandhuratmatmanastasya Yenatmaivatmanajitaha Anatmanastu shatrutve Vartetatmaiva shatruvate Yena Atmana eva Atma jitaha Tasya Atma Atmanaha Bandhuhu Bhavati Tu Anatmanaha Atma eva Shatrutve Vartate. Okay, the same thing he explains. Yena, by whom? Atmana eva Atma jitaha. By one is one over. Okay, by the self is one over. That we have already seen, right? And winning over, see, this Atma also will be used in different context. Okay, in a different way. Atma means I. Depends on where you are placing the I. Atma can mean body also. Atma can mean mind also. Mind, body together can be said Atma. Atma means just I. So you can place your I on the body. You can place the I on the mind. You can place the I on the Jivatma, okay, the individual soul, or you can place it in Paramatma also, which is Parabrahma. So it depends on, so there are verses like Atma is used 4 or 5 times in the same verse, and it has 2 or 3 different meanings. One place there is one meaning, another place. So the mind can be used as Atma. So here also you can take it as your mind is won over by your actions, right? So that one Atma can be taken as mind. Okay. Atmana eva Atma jitaha. The one, jitaha means won over, but here it means mastered. Okay. You have mastered yourself means your ragadvesha you have taken control of. See, tayor na vashti. This ragadvesha also you have to understand. Bhagavan says, ragadvesho vyavastitau tayor vasham na agachet tau yasya paripantino. So you don't need to stop your ragadvesha because you have no control. Suppose I like gulab jamun, right, or rasagulla. I have no control on that, right? Rasagulla I like, I don't have. So you can't tell me don't have likes. Okay, don't have hatred. This sermon day, so somebody will have some Swami this. Don't have any likes and dislikes. And then we will paste it in the steel bureau. As though by looking at it we will remove all the likes, right? It doesn't work like that because it doesn't take your permission. So none of the thought take your permission to come. You don't know what thought. That's what happened for me, right? When I am teaching, I don't know what thought came, where did I end up here? Again, I have to rewind back, right? Because you have no control on your likes and dislikes. So Bhagavan says, likes and dislikes will be there, but don't come under the spell of it. So when you are acting, you have control. Some people don't have control there also, but slowly you have to bring control. So you know what are your likes and dislikes. You also know what is right and wrong. Right and wrong need not be told to you. Samanya Dharma, it is said, Vyasa says you don't have to be taught. You don't need 10 commandments to say don't steal, like that. Okay, because you know. Why you know? Because you don't want to be stealed from. That's all, right? So when you know others should not steal from you, you know you should also not. That is called Samanya Dharma. That's why Punya Papa Swamiji used to say karma and dharma are two sides of the same coin. Unless you know what is dharma, by default, I cannot give you karma. See, you won't get punya or papa unless you are provided the faculty to understand what is right or wrong. That's why a child till 3 years or whatever it is said doesn't have punya papa. And also when somebody is mad, that person has no punya papa because he cannot understand what is right and wrong, right? So it is said that the papa that children does actually belongs to the parents. Yeah. And the papa that a king does belongs to the Brahmana who, Mantri who is advising him. And it is said in our Dharma Shastra, who gets the papa is also a subject. Okay, it's not that every time you only get. So if you are helpless, somebody gets it. Okay, so dharma also has to be understood. Okay. So ragadvesha vyavastitau tayor vasham na agachyat. You don't come under its spell. Okay, so you don't have to carry the guilt that I am having raga, I am having dvesha and all that. Okay, until you come out of it. Okay. So yena atmana atma jitaha, for the one who has won over, mastered the atma, that mind here. Okay, so the Paramatma cannot be mastered over, only your mind can be mastered over. So the Atma here means your mind, that's all. Okay. Otherwise, I have won over me means what? What is that me? Okay, that me is your mind. That Ragadvesha you have control on. In sense, you have control to act on. That you go by Dharma and not by Ragadvesha. Tasya Atma Atmanaha Bandhu. For that person, your mind itself becomes, your faculty becomes a supporter for you. It helps you cross over samsara. Because Jaishankar ji said, right, all knowledge takes place in your mind only. Okay, so therefore there is mental jnanam and all, they will say, no, first you gain mental knowledge and then you do sadhana and you make it practical. Okay, this practical thing they will say, oh, you have read the book. By reading the book, what are you going to? Book alone is not going to give you liberation. So Vivekananda said, no, a donkey carries so much books. Does that make donkey liberated? Okay. So it's not about book. Okay. See, the liberation is only if you are already infinite, we have seen. Now you need to recognize. The recognition happens where? It is in your buddhi only. So it's not, so what Vivekananda meant probably is it's not enough if you just keep reading the books. Okay, so you approach a guru and gain jnana, right? That's what it means, right? The paperback, because today also people just read some here and there and then they just boast outside saying, I have understood Vedanta, this, that. Okay, it becomes a, an intellectual expression, right? That is not the intent, no. So what is there? Already we are in samsara. This is one more samsara. I have become a great Swami. So one Swami used to say, look at my feet, it is red, because I have so many Pada Pujas have been done for me. So he really used to have that pride. Okay, one Swami in North India, he was our co-student. He called and showed one of our friends, okay, this happened, look at my feet, okay. So he was so proud that he has got so much Pada Puja, okay. So in samsara only, no, honestly, right? This is also, see, he is doing something good, I'm not. He is giving some support to people, whoever needs some, see, people also have some shraddha. So he is giving them avenue for it. Okay. He is doing good only. But still he had some little bit Pada Puja pride. Okay, so, but that part is samsara, that's all I am saying. I am not saying it is samsara. That part is, over time he matured, okay, that's fine. But that's what it is, no? So don't give yourself to all that. So Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu Anatmanaha Atma Eva Shatruvate Shatrutve Vartate. If you have not mastered yourself, So your mind is your biggest enemy. Okay, our biggest enemy is always mind. In fact, Shankaracharya says, even external enemy has become your external enemy only because of your mind. Okay, so even there indirectly your mind only is the cause for it, he says. Okay, you can always handle external enemies well if you have control on yourself. That is the idea. See, you can't avoid others looking at you with enmity, but until you can handle it, no. So therefore he says, even a Shatru who is outside also is only due to you, therefore you are only your own Shatru. This is how he gives an explanation for this. That's why without Shankaracharya, some of these are impossible to understand. It's Prasanna Gambhiryam, we were talking about it. No? It's so simple to understand, but yet it is very profound. Okay? Without Shankaracharya, this kind of verses is very difficult. We have seen so many people talk about this. See, they will give some high, what do you say? Oh, you are your own master. Means it is just said, they are all fluffy words. How can you say I have no control on my legs and displays? Most of the time when I am angry, I have no control on it. Okay, only after some time I understood that I have already broken 2 televisions and 1 phone, right? So much lack of control I have on myself. And then you make statement that you are your own enemy, you are your own friend, you can control yourself. So without understanding the context, why it is being said, what is said, it is impossible, right? It only becomes very fluffy statements. And Vedanta is most misunderstood, and people make mystical statements. The whole air, Atma is truth is a pathless land. Atma cannot be expressed by words. One who says who knows Atma doesn't really know. So only one who says who doesn't know also doesn't know. Means what you don't understand anything from it, right? So then that person becomes as though he is the great guy, and he will wait for Pada Puja for himself. Okay. So we'll see in the next class. Om